Alrighty. Hello, welcome to Autodesk University Recap. We are excited to have everyone here today. We'll be starting here in just a minute. First, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jason. I will be your moderator today. If anybody has any questions during this webinar, please feel free to leave them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. But with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll now hand off to the panel and let them introduce themselves. We can go ahead and start with Ian.
All right, thanks Jason, and thanks everybody for hopping on this webinar today to do a recap of Autodesk University 2024. My name is Ian Donovan. I'm the Director of Software Sales here at Topcon Solutions. I'm based in Portland, Oregon. I've been with the company for, gosh, this is my 12th year on the software side of our business, and I'm happy to be here to give my feedback on AU 2024. Jim Martin, I believe, is hopping on here as well. He's our Senior Director of Hardware Sales. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties getting into the GoToWebinar, but he will be joining us as soon as he is able to.
Hey, I snuck in here, so it's finally
okay.
working.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim.
So
Anything
again,
else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say, my name is Jim Martin. I'm the Senior Director of Hardware Sales, which was, it's always fun to send hardware people to Autodesk University and see that connection between hardware and software. So I'm stationed out of Kansas City, home of the undefeated Chiefs. Thank you very much. And home of the best barbecue in the country. So now that I've made everybody mad, we can pass it on to David Campbell.
Hey everybody, thank you for having me. I'm David Campbell. I'm an application specialist for Topcon Solutions, co-host with Brewing with BIM podcast. I do a lot of our consulting implementations around, the Autodesk Construction Cloud and different Autodesk products, and very excited to talk with you guys today.
Not to mention, David also has one of the nicest beards at TSS, so we're encouraging him to keep that going.
Absolutely.
Good call out, Ian. Hi, everyone. I'm Bree Bridges. I'm the marketing manager for Topcon Solutions store. I'm based out of Portland, Oregon, and I am the newest member of the Topcon, the TSS team, I think. Fairly close to the newest. I've been with the company about a month and a half. So it was first time experience at AU, and I'm excited to be here and just share more from my perspective as a newbie and be a part of this group. So welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Bree. Thanks, everybody. Real quick slide, just for those of the attendees that do not know who Topcon Solutions is, thought we'd just briefly highlight really who our company is. And from the very beginning, kind of the meat and potatoes of Topcon, we're a manufacturer of robotic total stations, laser scanners, and machine control for heavy civil construction. But on top of that, and what we're here to talk about today is being an Autodesk Platinum partner, we're a Construction Elite partner, Bluebeam Platinum partner, HP Site Print partner, and at the end of the day, an AECO full services partner, meaning we can provide support, training, implementations on all the things that we just mentioned. We have 14 locations across the United States, ranging from the West Coast to the East Coast, and that number is continuously growing as we continue to scale our business across the country. So with that, I think we can jump right into some of the questions that Jason has for us today.
All righty, thanks, Ian. So number one question, we're going to start off with just what were your overall impressions of Autodesk University 2024? Any standout moments or key themes?
Yeah, I can go ahead and kick things off, and then the rest of the panelists can chime in and add on top of anything that I have to say, if that works. First of all, overall impressions, first time being in sunny San Diego, California. I personally love the location of it this year. I like that Autodesk has been changing the location year to year, having it been in Vegas for so long, and then New Orleans, back to Vegas, and now in San Diego. I loved that they're doing that. I think it just gives a better opportunity for folks in all different locations to be able to travel and attend AU. Regarding kind of the key themes that I took away was, of course, AI. I think that was a huge theme. Autodesk is obviously making a tremendous amount of investment into AI. And there was a lot of discussion, I think, about how beneficial it can be. But at the same time, it can be detrimental if you're not using it appropriately and you don't have a plan as far as how you're going to navigate AI and how you're going to ultimately control it to deliver more value to your organization. I think another theme that I took away from AU 2024 this year was data. I think data is a big buzzword in the industry. A lot of people talk about it, but more than ever, I think we found that there's a lot of value that people can take from harnessing the data. The construction industry, I think I saw a statistic, has over quadrillion amounts of gigabytes of data or something crazy, some huge number, more than any other industry in the world. So there's a ton of data that goes into everything that we do, right, in the build industry. And so I think there's a lot of discussion about how can we leverage the power of data, how can it be leveraged for better outcomes, right? Really being able to look retroactively about, hey, here's what we did on this project, here's where we learned that we could improve, how do we do that on the next one? So I thought that was another big thing that people talked about, and just as far as the overall theme. David, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Nah, dude, I mean, I'd completely agree. I mean, I'd say that with those 2 points, there was definitely a lot of conversation about how we can utilize AI for data analysis, for predictive analytics. There was a lot of talk there. And even, one other big one I'd call out is the progress monitoring. There's a big trend kind of going on right now with photogrammetry, with data in general. Like, how can we take photogrammetry and turn it into a scan or turn it into usable data, whether it's a mesh or actually tracking progress against that. That was a big thing I saw. There were quite a few booths and actually a lot of conversation going on about introducing AI into these different data formats, photogrammetry or video or your BIM model, construction, like the project management environment. There's so many different areas or silos of data, right? And as we start to aggregate those into one environment, what do we do with that? How do we map it? How do we transform it so it comes together? And then how do we really analyze it? And again, the AI, like the AI trend that you mentioned there, dude, I had a lot of conversations about how AI is beginning to kind of break down the walls, because, a lot of people will tell us, I don't know what to do with this data. How do I get this data? And I feel like I have to hire somebody that knows how to transform, how to do this. But AI is kind of enabling us to start connecting that with, obviously another thing I'll call out, that we heard whisperings of the new insights, right? At AU, we've been hearing that lately coming out. Dude, that one's exciting too. I'm super excited to see how this all comes together to really push forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I'd add, just as far as a standout moment, I really gravitated towards was the construction keynote and hearing about Gamuda out of Malaysia and their implementation of ACC and technology as a whole. I think that they made some really good key points that I think everybody could take away, and that they found how important technology and being a data-driven company ultimately could benefit their business and deliver their projects better and ultimately improve the lives of everybody that is benefiting from those projects being completed. They also used kind of a top-down and bottom-up approach, which I thought was unique as far as how they look at technology, how they adopt it as well. Basically including all company stakeholders. We hear all the time that a lot of times it's a bottom-up approach, and the end users need to be able to create enough noise for folks to be able to say, hey, okay, now we're finally going to buy off on this and we're going to move forward. But I think you really do, at the end of the day, need to have a bottom-up and a top-down approach so that everybody's on board with moving forward in the direction, whatever that is that they choose. They referred to it, I believe, as the golden zone of innovation. And the biggest key that they had was that you have to be able to communicate and articulate the reasons why you're doing something across the entire organization so that everybody's on the same page and ultimately trying to get to the other side, right? So I thought that was really cool as well.
So I'll jump in here, and I think you guys covered it really well. One takeaway for me was, it really feels like Autodesk is taking a big step forward in empowering their users to work smarter, not harder. And that's one thing, we're always, how can we improve business flow, efficiency? And, there's so many tools available to really help you streamline the business. And so, talking about AI and data and being able to approach business well informed. And so yeah, I think that was just a theme throughout the show itself. I agree with Ian. The location in San Diego was wonderful. The show itself felt really well executed, and there was a great focus on the talks themselves, but the show floor was also really well laid out and touched on all of the different areas that Autodesk serves. So it was neat to kind of glimpse into those different areas and what they're doing in these different industries to improve business flow. So as a newbie, that was it was really cool to see. But other than that, I think you guys touched on it really well, and it was a great experience.
I would say, it's been a common trend over the past, few AUs that I've been to. You see a lot of different, a lot of people doing a lot of cool things with Autodesk technology. Last year, they showed us the Marvels and how they made the costumes, and they had the AI robots, the Rivian trucks there, and how those are designed and manufactured with Autodesk software. This year they had the CNC machines where you could start from beginning to end and making a keyboard for like a little Raspberry Pi, your own, and program your own hotkeys and things like that in there. I really also love, there's one more trend. I'm kind of a gamer, so I'm gonna geek out on this a little bit too. The other trend that we're seeing, the Unreal engines, the renderings that we're seeing coming into not just the Revit models, but one thing I really loved this year was seeing the Volterra project and how they converted the point cloud. I mean, I love ancient architecture. I love the cathedral, the Notre Dame Cathedral. Excuse me, sorry. A lot of these older buildings that, they have so much history, and we need to document them, right? And share that data. And typically, that's been done in a point cloud. And a point cloud, even though you host it, let's say on the web, and you try to give a user a view of it, a lot of times it's not that simple. Like trying to give people the capability to walk through it and see. What they've done with the Volterra project is they converted that point cloud pretty much almost into like a video game. Like you are in a open space environment that you can walk through, look at everything. Actually, you're like a person that you're walking through, navigating this world of the point cloud. I think that is fantastic. The more use cases we see as they're bringing in Unreal or the different engines, the gaming engines, to bring this technology to life, I think that's another huge trend we're going to continue to see, and I'm really excited about that as well.
Yeah, the other theme that I saw and a lot of people talking about it was the opportunity and benefit of standardization across their organizations as well. I mean, there's so many, as we all saw at AU on the expo floor, there's a ton of technology companies out there that offer a lot of different things, and there's a lot of value to them. But the challenge, I think, at organizations can be also, how do you standardize across your company, right, to ensure that people are doing all the same things and using, quite frankly, the same tech stack across their companies, right? So that if you have a project engineer that works on this project with this project team, right, he knows the tools and ultimately the processes that go along with those tools, so that if he goes to the next project, right, it's going to be the same thing, not having to learn and recreate the wheel on how they execute that job, from the last one that he was on. So, and Gamuda also had some really good discussion points, I think, on that as well, and how they enabled their company through internal tech talks and master classes, and highlighting the success of team members leveraging certain technologies that they've standardized on, across their company, and the benefits that they've seen. I thought that was really cool.
Sure, yeah. It's our next question, Jason. Yeah.
Jim, I wanted to give you a chance to mention anything if you want to jump in.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just love listening to Ian and David talk about Autodesk products and the technology out there. It's just so much fun to listen to those guys. I kind of get mesmerized myself. But from my standpoint, I go to AU and being a hardware guy, it's a little different environment for me to go and for my hardware team to go there. But it's just really impressive what Autodesk does and the investment that they're making in their users to be able to make sure everybody can get the most out of their software and be very successful using their software. And then seeing all the different technology companies coming in, as David said, here's a better way to use the Autodesk software. Here's an add-on that we've got that we think is going to make you more successful. And it's kind of what we do as well at Topcon. One thing I love was that our booth was right next to the HP booth, and so we were able to kind of share the HP site print back and forth, which is one of our really cool products that I love just watching work, of just taking a plan and putting it down on the ground. And so it was cool to have us kind of right next to them and be able to kind of share ideas and share knowledge back and forth. But then the whole thing about AI is just fantastic, and being able to hear everything that everyone's talking about and how we can use AI to not only interpret data, as Ian was saying, how much data there is out there. It's overwhelming to a lot of people. But how can we use AI to interpret the data, whether it's an image, whether it's just massive amounts of numbers, and then produce actually business solutions out of that data? And I think that's one thing everybody's really looking for. How do we take all this massive data and really come up with, what should I do in my business? What should be my next step, or where should I go from here? And AI is going to really help bridge that gap. So yeah, to me, it was just really impressive. Just such an impressive event.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks everyone for sharing there. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
I was just going to say shout out to ClearEdge too. They had a booth right next to us. That's a Topcon company as well, for those that don't already know that. So it was great having those guys right next to our booth as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and speaking of AI, I shared this with the team prior to us jumping on, but I asked ChatGPT to put together some jokes for us around Autodesk University. And so one of them I wanted to share is, how do you find Autodesk experts at AU? Anyone?
I don't
Just
know.
look for the ones with layers. I don't know.
I was going to say maybe try visiting the Topcon booth. You need connections like David. That's great.
That too.
Love it.
Great job.
That's good. That's good.
All right, so we talked a little bit about overall impressions there. We definitely touched on some themes, some trends and design and engineering that kind of came up, but I'll just kind of give a chance in case there's anything else that we wanted to talk there in terms of emerging trends and designs within design and engineering this year, and how do we see those impacting the industry, maybe short term and long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is companies are continuing to push forward and trying to digitize their businesses, right? There's still a lot of folks that are out there, and we talk about digitizing it, and that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? That doesn't mean that you're never going to have a set of paper plans on a job site, but maybe there's an opportunity to have an iPad walking around the job site in tandem with the paper plans that are in the trailer. You know what I mean? So I think just seeing companies' excitement around digitizing their business, I think they're starting to understand and see that there's opportunity for improvement. And just because you've done it the same way for the last 30 years doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity to maybe tweak something in that process. So I think that was a huge thing. They're really trying to push the overall boundaries of innovation, right? A lot of companies have adopted technology and they're continuing to drive forward and and do different things. So I think that was a big thing. We talked a lot about AI. I mean, of course, just to reiterate that, it's playing more and more of a role with companies, right? And I think with AI, there's opportunity to increase or improve overall profitability. As I think about AI, and we'll get into this in the discussion, but the Autodesk Assistant that has come out, that Autodesk released, to me, being able to look at multiple versions of a spec book that are a ton of pages if you had it on paper, right? But then be able to type something into an AI agent, Autodesk Assistant in this case, and be able to find what you're looking for. that's increasing overall profitability because you're taking a lot less time flipping through a bunch of different pages, hundreds of pages, right, depending on the project. And that's a way that I see it benefiting. Right? There's still things that I think need to be, double checked and ensure that AI is doing, what you want it to do, and you're finding what you need to find and all that good stuff. But I thought that was a key theme too, right? It's like, okay, AI this, AI that, but how can it actually benefit the overall company? And that's one way I think that.
Yeah, I agree. Getting away from, the AI trend a little bit, there are two more I see that, I mean, one has been in there for a while, and that's, of course, the prefabrication or manufacturing for construction. I continue to see that as a good trend in construction. A lot of people were talking about it this year, like how to get Revit, fabrication level, or the other trend I want to call out on that note is the interoperability. Right, there's a lot of interoperability conversations. There's more that Autodesk has been doing for interoperability. I saw a few booths and had a few conversations with companies that were actually converting Inventor.itm families to Revit RFAs. And the more that we can do that, whether it's for infrastructure, the structural workflows, or prefabrication for mechanical piping, whatever it is, that's a trend I'm super excited to see as well. I continue to see it's growing. It's continued to grow every year. Now, the other one I would say that I'd want to call out, besides fabrication, is really actually the kind of going back to your data point, Ian, is I'm starting to see more use cases, or we're having more conversations about like IoT sensors, digital twins, actually digitizing the building, not just having a digital model, but the digital twin, and it not just being like a point cloud or this Revit model at one point in time. That's a pretty picture, right? But actually making a digital twin with IoT sensors that are interactive with the BIM model, with the analysis programs, we know how much fluids or what pressure of air, what is running through this actual model. I think that's another big thing this year. Digital twins, ever since the release of Tandem, we've started to see a steady kind of increase there. But I think this year too, dude, like with point clouds and mapping and tagging and, being able to connect that to IoT sensors, like there's a lot that's coming together for that digital twin kind of asset management trend for, this industry right now.
Yeah. And the other thing that I thought I would take away, or what I saw in design and engineering, is integration platforms, right? So like that was a big thing. And selfish plug here, Topcon Aptics, that's something that we provide to customers. So just in case folks that didn't know, but that was a big thing at our booth in particular. We had Scott Langbein from Topcon Positioning Systems at our booth this year, and he was talking to a lot of different people about Aptics and the benefits that you can gain from harnessing the hardware side, in Topcon's case of the business, out on site, right, and monitoring the vehicles and fuel consumption, and then being able to translate that back into the back office via Autodesk Construction Cloud, right, and having it all consolidated, having it do it in real time so that people back in the office can recognize, right, what's going on out on site, right? And so for us in particular, Aptics was a big hit for us at our booth. And I think there's other companies that are doing similar things, right, and connecting the dots with different technologies. But that was a big thing too, is integration, and how do you combine the different things.
Yeah, and that Aptics was really, really cool to watch, and really helping out owners and managers of large civil construction companies, right, to really make timely business decisions. Not wait till the end of the project to see if they made any money, but as they're moving along, what's the progress? Where do I need to make adjustments and changes if things aren't going the way that I want them to go? Or how can I, continue to improve my processes so I can apply those processes to the next project, and then apply that to the next bidding cycle of, hey, I know I can cut a little dollars here to win more bids. So it's a really, really cool integration platform for really connecting that hardware and that software. So from the hardware side, I love seeing that, because it really makes that really good connection that we're really looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're talking about a cool product from Topcon here, so I'll use that as a nice segue. Were there any other significant product announcements or updates at AU, and how might these affect current users?
One of the things that I saw that Autodesk kind of talked more about, and I think some people maybe were already aware of it, but was the data modeling APIs. Everything is around APIs these days. How can things be opened up so that you can combine them with other things to be able to get the outcome that you're looking for? But those were released so that customers can do more than they have been able to in the past. So as an example, being able to compare design changes, look at historical project data to make more informed decisions, right, based upon similar projects in the past that you might have been worked on, excuse me. There were also some significant updates to the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. We talked about it a little bit before, but just to reiterate, the Autodesk AI Assistant is officially in beta, so you can be able to leverage that now to look at your specifications within ACC, to be able to search for things, to be able to ask the AI Assistant about something in the spec books or whatever you have uploaded into the platform. So I think that was a big thing. You're seeing more and more investment there. I think, yeah, those are kind of the things that were top of mind that I took away and noticed that were released or further talked about at AU this year. Anything to add there, Dave, that you heard about or?
Well, I'd say, the feature extraction and the new Recap Pro was pretty cool. And Recap Photo, being able to translate photogrammetry there, I thought that was pretty awesome. I mean, the features in terms of like for ACC that I heard, a lot of it I'm excited about. Yesterday, I actually got on and created a scribe for the building connected to cost management. Like that integration there, being able to create contracts from the bids and push that right over was awesome. So I was very excited to test that out after I came home. The integrations, dude, that point right there is very, very awesome. Like I saw a lot of kind of going back to that interoperability, like a lot of interoperability between ACC and other environments, which was awesome to see.
Yeah.
It's
one? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the other thing too is I feel like when we go to AU, it's the one time a year that's the big user conference, right? I think we had 12,000 people attend AU this year. So everybody kind of expects that maybe there's going to be a brand new product that gets released, or there's going to be a new acquisition that Autodesk made that's going to be announced at AU. This year I felt like it was more and more interoperability between the existing acquisitions that Autodesk made and how they're coming together inside of the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. Right? Just as a quick reminder, ACC isn't a product, it's the platform that has a number of different products that belong to it to accomplish various tasks, right? And so to your point, David, Building Connected, a bid management subcontractor qualification tool is more and more being brought into ACC and tying into things like Autodesk Build Cost Management, to your point, right? So I think we saw and learned a lot more that Autodesk is doing with the overall platform and bringing together different technologies that maybe they acquired or further integrating some of the things that they already had, that they've developed on their own. And I think that's a huge thing, right? I mean, there's been, I don't know, 7, 8 different acquisitions that Autodesk has made. And sometimes if you see that, you think, okay, well, what's going to happen with that tool? Are they just going to keep it on by itself, right? The overall goal is to cover the entire life cycle of a project, from design to pre-construction to operations to hand over to the owner. And so where there's gaps in that process, I think Autodesk has done a really, really good job of filling those gaps with different companies that they acquired. Shout out GC Pay Apps. That was another acquisition that Autodesk made that I think will further see integration into ACC. So maybe not necessarily like, hey, here's a brand new product outside of the things that we kind of talked about with AI, but further integrating existing solutions and coming out with things that customers have asked about that they feel like would bring them a lot of value, was some of the stuff that I saw and took away as it pertains to product and updates and things like that.
So Jim already touched on this, but it's it's amazing hearing you, Ian, and David talk about your insight with all your vast knowledge of Autodesk and just your takeaways as a newbie, you know, walking into AU, it can feel very overwhelming. But I mean, you guys are providing such a great overview of the experience itself. And so I feel, you know, you guys, you're just doing an amazing job. I don't have anything else to offer here because I think you're covering it in a way that is really well done. So I had to interject and commend you on just your passion and just the I guess the overview of the experience itself. But anyone new, yeah, coming into AU, I would highly recommend it. There's so many takeaways. So many things to be learned. And, you know, I attended a number of talks and really toured the show floor, but just hearing the two of you speak to the new products too. I mean, it's really, it's fascinating. So.
Yeah, appreciate that. There's a lot that can be taken away. I mean, like I mentioned, this is my 12th year. I think this is my 10th AU. David's been to AU multiple times, right? So it was kind of nice just being able to continue to learn and take in all the different things that are going on, because it can honestly be a little bit, you know, overwhelming. I can only imagine, Bree, when you walk in there, I mean, you see all these different things going on, particularly on the expo floor, ranging from, you know, equipment and automation and, you know, a million different software companies that do different things. And, you know, for a first timer, at least I remember my first time going to AU, it was like, whoa, this is a lot. There's a lot going on. How do I navigate this, right?
I'm laughing because that was my thoughts my first time at AU 3 years ago. And
yeah,
like, holy cow, there's a bunch going on here.
There's so much.
Really cool. Yeah. You know, it's the first time we brought hardware there to do something a little different. And yeah, it's just an amazing event. And it was just like you said, a little overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
One thing I really
that
love.
leads in. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, David.
Well, I was going to say just one thing I really love about AU, you know, especially when you're coming into your first, your second, or heck, your fifth, sixth, seventh at this point. It's connecting with people in the industry, right? Obviously, we all know that as we're working together, we're not alone in this. Like, I feel like somebody has the same problems that I do, my same pain points. A lot of times, it's a great environment to connect with different people and see what they're doing, how they're doing it. You know, obviously the talks are fantastic because, as you mentioned, Ian, like there are several takeaways that we can take from, you know, from like Goem, I think it was that, am I saying that right?
Oh, Gamuda.
Gamuda, yeah. Sorry, dude,
Yeah.
Gamuda. Good Lord, I'm horrible this morning, but like,
no, you're good.
When attending these presentations, like not only can you take away from things that the presenters themselves are sharing, but it's funny to think about, you know, you being that person, that one person in that room of 30, 40, 50 people, you're feeling a little overwhelmed. Chances are the person next to you or 2 or 3 over here is feeling the same way, right? Connecting with those people, just having those conversations. Obviously, yes, exchange business cards, you know, that's a great thing too, to be able to network and build that. But just having those conversations, hey, you guys are adopting ACC, you were in that build course, right? How have you guys, you know, started with your templates, your standards? Like, how do you guys address this? What are you doing for this? You know, having those conversations, man, to me, that's one of the biggest values of AU, is really connecting. Because when do we really get all together? Like you said, Ian, there's 12,000 people. Maybe not all 12,000 are doing the exact same thing you are, but a lot of them are doing a lot of the same things, and we can have those conversations and really take that away and you know, integrate that into what we do when we get back home.
Well, and to that end too, like you're right, like a lot of people aren't doing the same things, and that's a great opportunity. They might be, 2 general contractors might operate differently, right? Likely do. And so you benefit from, you know, gaining the knowledge of what they've done differently that maybe you're not doing, that you didn't know about. It's just a fantastic event to be able to learn from one another, right? I mean, you're spot on. I think that's one of the biggest and key takeaways from Autodesk University each year, is being able to learn from your peers and industry leaders, and take that back to your company and try to leverage the information that you learned.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Well, lots of years of experience here with Autodesk University. Before I get to this question, though, I'll just remind people here joining our meeting, if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of this panel discussion here. So here's your reminder to put any questions you have in the chat and we'll get to those. But like I was saying, we have lots of experience here with Autodesk University. Ian, you said this is 12 years now you've done this. So I'll start with you here. How does AU compare this year to previous events?
It's a good question. I mentioned it at the beginning, but I love the fact that the location was in San Diego, and I don't mean that just because San Diego's a fantastic city and it's got great weather. It's going to be 75 degrees out majority of the time and not raining. All those things are great too, but I just thought the overall layout of AU was really nice, right? Like right across from the convention center is the gas lamp district for you to go out and get dinner or walk across the street. It's super nice. The layout, speaking from a vendor or a partner perspective, I thought was really nice. It was super easy to find, the expo hall and go and learn about the different companies and the different solutions that they provide to the industry. The general sessions I thought were really good. Those are always things that I think are good key takeaways to learn. That's where I learned about the Gamuda story and how they leverage and implement technology. So I thought overall it was really, really good. I thought this year more than ever, I witnessed and noticed that it was more folks from companies that weren't just end users of core Autodesk tools, right? I think when you think of Autodesk, you still maybe think of, oh, that's the AutoCAD company, or that's the company that makes Revit or Civil 3D or Navisworks, and all those things are true, and those are great solutions, right? And users benefit from learning from one another that leverage those tools on a daily basis. But I witnessed and noticed there was more folks from leadership positions attending AU this year, particularly with construction companies, right? Like Autodesk is so entrenched in driving construction forward and using their platforms to help construction companies and owners and design partners as well, right? Improve their business. And so I really appreciated a lot of the conversations I had at this AU in comparison to the past from folks that are operations leaders, right? Folks that are in the C-suite positions trying to figure out and think more holistically about their company and how technology plays a role in that. So I thought that was something that was a little bit more different this year, and I look forward to hopefully seeing the same thing in future years. What do you think, David?
Yeah, man, I agree. I mean, honestly, I would agree. I would say, the trend that I've been seeing is that they're making it a little bit smaller, but I feel like that's kind of a good thing. Honestly, when I first started, probably I think 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago was my first AU. It was huge. It was in Vegas, and it was insane to try and get everything in and try to see everything. I feel like they've done a really, really good job over the past few AUs. I mean, I would say the New Orleans one, we all recognize some of those class sessions were just so far away. I should have gotten a segue, but this year in San Diego, man, I felt like everything was close. It was right there. There were a lot of sessions to go to, but I also don't feel like there were too many. I feel like they did a good job kind of curating the sessions that they did do, where they did them. Even in the exhibition hall when we were in there, they were doing the sessions, and honestly, they did a really good job planning it because it wasn't disruptive of us, the conversations we were having. They weren't disrupted. They were giving presentations up there, and it was kind of a constant flow, and I felt like that was really, really awesome. And with the smaller size, I'd say, I wouldn't say there's smaller people. I'm just meaning like it's more focused. Like you mentioned, Ian, they put a lot of focus on construction, on data. There's still the Revit classes. There's still some AutoCAD classes, but there's not like a 500 AutoCAD classes. There's maybe 10, 15, I think 20, maybe something like that. And you'll start to see a lot of the different content coming in there as well. I think kind of going back to that point of curating content, they've done a really good job at finding different presenters and bringing valuable people to show what they're doing and how they're doing it so people can learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of, or a lot more than there historically has been, as far as classes and sessions about companies transitioning to things like ACC as a platform from legacy solutions too, right? So companies that are transitioning from BIM 360 as a platform, or transitioning from PlanGrid, or transitioning to things that aren't Autodesk, solutions like Excel, right? And how they move their company to the ACC platform, lessons learned, how they were able to try to help with the change management aspect of things. I think that's always a really difficult thing to help set expectations for your company, and to try to help people, understand that, hey, this isn't going to be just the, flick of a switch and all of a sudden we're off and rolling. We're going to do, everything that we need to do inside of ACC as a platform, right? There's a lot more that goes into it. And I think there was a lot of really good sessions that talked about how companies were able to do that, and not just, hey, this was so great and we did it so easily, but more so like, hey, here's how we did it. Here's how we set our plan. Here's, the lessons learned, which I think are probably even a bigger takeaway as far as like what you get out of those types of sessions. J.E. Dunn, I thought, had a really, really good story on how they standardized on Autodesk Construction Cloud. J.E. Dunn's a $6 billion contractor that does work all over the world. So it's not an easy task, is my point. So I thought that was really cool to listen and understand how they did that.
Well, Ian, I think you kind of nailed it, that more and more of the leaders in the C-suite are coming to AU because they're seeing that to really transform their company, they've got to integrate the technology, especially on the construction side where guys were so used to, well, I know how to run a dozer and excavator, and I know how to schedule things in my head, and I can make all this work. They're realizing, no, I need data to run my company more efficiently, to be able to be more profitable, and to win more bids. And I've got to integrate that technology completely in my company. And I think, my hardware guys that were there the whole time saw that as well. The questions that they were asking of them of, how do we make the equipment we have work better? You can only do that through software and technology. And so, yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things, the change from when I went 3 years ago to this year of seeing of, it's gone from being here's the tips and tricks of Revit and AutoCAD and Civil 3D to, here's really how you integrate the software into your entire company to make your company more successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and to the earlier point, like how can you connect the data from that to all of your other, entities, the other softwares? Like, what do you begin to do with that? I saw a lot of that this year, man. There were a lot of people. That was awesome to see. They were talking about setting standards for data, for naming, for many different things, so that you could start mapping that across to your different systems and tracking that data. It's very, very awesome to see when the C-suite, when the owners get involved in that sense, or owners, that just the higher ups, I guess, in that sense, when you start seeing it kind of go from the top down, and then when they're sharing how the things that they ran into, the issues, the speed bumps, right, how they got over it, what they're doing today to currently like bring data from Revit and from Inventor or Advanced Steel or CAD or even Navis or any other application, their ERP, their bidding platform. How are they aggregating all of that? To Ian's point earlier, like seeing the data extraction, and Power BI now able to get into Building Connected, into Revit, into ACC, into all of these different applications, and then them, really people talking about how valuable the data is. But also, I think the big thing is that we saw, is them, like you pointed out earlier, Ian, kind of mentioning, hey, these are the best practices that you want to do when you're doing this, because as you're going through this, we ran into these issues, we ran into this. You want to make a plan before you get into this. You want to know what you're going to do with your data, and you want to do it in phased approaches. You don't want to just jump in, with the high dive in the deep end and not really have a plan for how you're going to swim out, which ladder you're going to go to, right? So
right.
All right. Yeah. Well, you were kind of talking a lot from your guys' experience. Jim, I think you kind of touched on your team's experience there. So I want to hear from everybody here. We had lots of members of our team attending along with us. What was kind of the feedback you heard from those team members regarding their experience at AU?
Well,
So,
I think,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, I think we had a big range, right? I think we had 18 different Topcon employees represented at Autodesk University this year, ranging from hardware to the software side to, our application specialists, sales, et cetera, marketing. Bree's first time being at AU. So, I heard a lot of really good feedback, particularly from the folks that attended for the first time, right? Like, I mean, you don't know what to expect as you're going to AU, and you maybe have something set in your mind as far as like what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. I think, the feedback that I heard from the folks that was kind of their first time was, it was just like, wow, man, this is massive, right? And there's so much information, there's so many things that we can take away, but I think the feedback was it really gets you excited, right? Like sometimes we get so set in the things that we're focused on in the day to day and just like everybody else, right? And I think everybody walked away on our teams from Autodesk University being excited about this industry, being excited about all the different things that Topcon does to help provide solutions to anyone from an architect to an engineer to a construction company, right? So that to me was the really cool thing that I heard from folks about this AU in particular, was just how excited they were to go back to their office and relay the information and things that they learned while they were at AU, but also call all the different customers and folks that we work with and say, hey, I know you weren't able to attend AU this year for XYZ reason, but I thought you might be interested in learning more about this thing that I learned about while I was at AU based on previous discussions, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? It's about learning about the different things that are going on, learning from your peers. And I was just pretty excited that everybody else was excited as much as I was, as far as being able to come back, and kind of lights a fire under you a little bit, right? About reminding you why you're doing this at the end of the day. So that was kind of the key thing for me.
Yeah, no, dude, I think to go off of that from my team, at least who I spoke to, they were very, very excited about the conversations that they had at AU, just kind of going back to making connections. My guys, it was their first time. I think I had 3 there, that the software guys that it was their first time there, and they were super excited. Not just, I mean, it was a little overwhelming, and you're shell shocked a little bit, or starstruck, let's say, because you walk in, wow, I'm here. But being there even in the expo center, just having the conversations with people, stop by the booth, and you talk about so many different things, and the passion that a lot of people have for this environment and what they do. It's awesome. It was really awesome to see. They were very excited. They're letting me know they've got new contacts that they're excited to reach out to and talk to, because they had awesome conversations about build and about RFIs, or about cost management, or even just about Revit templates, and just having those conversations, they thought it was fantastic. We get to talk to a lot of clients every day and, figure out kind of whether it's consulting, it's implementing, or it's, training in general. Yeah. But it's kind of nice to take that step back and have conversations with people, again, that are, having the same problems, or they're trying to implement to their company, and they're, okay, what are you doing? What are you seeing as best practices? Just to have that, and to give them someone to reach out to. Even, we don't need to train you, you're doing that, but I can give you helpful tricks on what you can use to roll it out, have your data sets, do certain things that will help, users implement it a little bit easier. It was great to have those conversations and for them to get those introductions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my
From
team
my
was.
perspective.
Go ahead, Bree.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well,
There's no hand raised feature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. From the hardware side, my guys were just overwhelmed. Both of them, it was their first time at AU. It's just cool to see. You go there, and they were saying this, it's just amazing, all the different technology involved in the whole construction process. And we sell equipment to the guys who are actually building it, who are putting moving the dirt, putting the concrete in, putting the steel up, putting the walls up, that sort of stuff. And to see that, where does it all start, and what is that full workflow of design, build, QA, QC, handoff to the owner. they love being able to see all the different technologies that makes that whole process happen. So it was just, from their standpoint, it was just really impressive to see. They thoroughly enjoyed themselves. They were incredibly busy, I think, the whole time. You know, we do a lot of small shows on the hardware side, and this is a really nice big show that was a great experience for my team.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that, just final comment on this, is a lot of folks don't necessarily know all the different things that Topcon provides too, right? So just having the ability to have our hardware team represented, right, and talking about all the different things that we have to offer the industry there, the software component of it, right, all the different things that we offer on that front, and then the services that tie it all together, I think was really, really cool. Right? There's so many companies that maybe know David Campbell as, you know, the guy that helps train them on Autodesk Build, right? And they might know, you know, Ian from XYZ buying, you know, an Autodesk product, right? But they might not know Colin McCoy, who, you know, can help them on the hardware side of the business. So just being able to collaborate with our internal team and help customers and new folks, right, that don't know who Topcon is, learn a little bit more about all the different things that we have to offer. Right? Because
Absolutely, it was great for the hardware team as well to kind of see the opposite side of that and see that connection, collaborate with the software team, so they can go back to their customers and really talk about more of the overall solution that TSS provides. Yeah, right. It was fantastic.
From my perspective, I'll just add this really quickly. I thought one of the really great things from a new person's perspective was seeing how our team was so excited to take these products and these ideas back to their clients and customers. So, you know, I'm just overhearing conversations in our booth. Oh, you know, so-and-so is going to love X. X over here does X, and, you know, and I can't wait to tell so-and-so about that, you know. So just that energy and the excitement that they were bringing back, and really just excited to communicate that outward. So that was really neat to just witness and see and feel kind of the palpable energy that you take away from these types of shows.
Absolutely. Yep. Agreed.
All right. Thanks everyone for sharing their experience and their team's experience. Really awesome getting that insight. I know I was personally someone who wasn't able to go, but got to see the excitement on everyone's face who was able to go. And so it's really cool hearing stories from that. So we're kind of getting close to the hour mark here. So as we wrap up, I'll ask for one key takeaway that you hope attendees from AU kind of brought home with them and remember.
Yeah, I think David touched on it earlier, but to me, the one key takeaway is, you know, I hope that everybody was able to make new connections and, you know, get back to old colleagues that maybe they worked with at some point in time at some company, right? I think that's the one time a year at AU where everybody can get together, right? And you know, see an old friend that they knew from years ago at a different company, which I know I had the experience of this year, and then also meeting new ones, right? So hopefully you walked away from AU with new connections, new excitement for the industry, and all the cool things that we're doing from a technology perspective to help improve the industry and drive it forward. So that's kind of the key takeaway for me.
And I don't know if I could add anything to that. That was perfect, Ian.
Okay.
That was perfect, dude.
You know, I would think if one key takeaway, I hope everybody that was there today, you walks away thinking, you know, what can I do to make my business run better? What technology can I implement? Whether it's hardware technology, software technology, integration technology, AI, what technology can I get running in my business to really make it run better and more efficiently and be more profitable? So I hope they all walk away just thinking that one thing: what can I do, and what did I learn here that I can make my business be even better?
Yeah, I mean, aside from Ian's point, selfishly, I taught a session on build standards, so I hope everybody took away standards and templates.
That's a great point, David. And there was
Absolutely.
a lot of folks that visited the booth after your session that were asking a bunch of questions. So fantastic job. And also, we didn't even mention it, but shout out to Brewing with BIM that David's a part of. They were
absolutely
running the podcast booth at the Topcon booth. So that was really cool. And thanks to all the fantastic guests and folks that joined those podcast sessions during AU. That was really cool.
Absolutely. And one takeaway for me is that, Autodesk really is committed to meeting their users where they are, but also really paving the road for the future. And, the only constant is change and looking at ways to improve your business. That's really what it's about. And so that's exciting. It's transformational for business. And so not being afraid to try new tools, to explore AI, to really dig deep into the data. I mean, it's there for the user. And so it was really a great experience, and glad I was able to be a part of it and be with all of you on the show floor. And so great experience. Hope I'm there again next year. I feel like I should close this out, at least my portion, with one more joke. Do we?
Yeah.
Are we on board? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So going to AU really helped our business. I mean, we're solid as a rock, but now we're scalable. Nobody. That one wasn't. Okay. All right. That's a lot of pressure.
Oh.
Why did the project
Love to
manager
ask a chat GPT.
Yeah.
Why did the project manager go to AU? To learn how to build rapport.
That's a little better.
That one was better.
Stopping. I am done. Mic drop. So thank you all for attending my poor stand-up comedy. And
no, that was good.
So my takeaway is AI can help within the construction and engineering industry, but not quite joke writing yet. We're close, but not quite.
Got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
Got a long ways to go.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks to our panelists for such a great discussion today. Special thanks to all of you joining us as well. We'll be sending out this recording of this webinar in a day or so. If you have any further questions or topics you want us to cover in future webinars, you can reach out to us at info@topconsolutions.com, or you can connect with us on social media. We appreciate everyone's participation, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session. From everyone here at Topcon Solutions, have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
all. Thank
Take
you,
care.
David.
Everybody.